Welcome, everyone, to the Culinary Stage at TasteX 2026. We got a full house, and we've got Chef Brandon on stage. Welcome, Chef Brandon. Everyone give him a round of applause, because you're going to know he's going to make you some great food.
I get a round of applause before I've even done anything. I love it.
Absolutely.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
You'll take it. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me back. If you guys have been here before, I've been doing this for about 5 or 6 sessions now. A little pre-COVID and then right after, and we've been going ever since then. I love getting invited back here. Again, it was always the wine and food show, but for them to rebrand and be TasteX, we're bringing a whole new line of product and a whole new experience for everybody. So a lot of the other gentlemen or people that have come up on stage have been telling you, try something new today. Get out of your comfort zones, talk to some of the suppliers and the owners. They're all at their booths, a wealth of knowledge, but also just to kind of get out of your comfort zone, like I said, and try some new products. It would be great. And that's what it's all about here. It's about local, and then again, the large bar that we have in the center, from coast to coast, bringing wine, spirits, and beers. So it's a great experience.
It is a great experience. And I just want to say, I didn't do you justice. So Chef Brandon Smith is the executive chef, or Stewart, pardon me. Good grief. We've been doing this too long.
I know, it's been a long day.
Forest City National Golf and Country Club, as well as Green Hills, and he'll talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carol. So yes, I am the executive chef of Forest City National Golf Club. Has anybody heard of Forest City? Do we have any avid golfers in the room? All right, we got a handful, okay. And Green Hills Country Club over by the 402. Has anybody heard of Green Hills? That one's been around for a long time, an old membership, 40 years plus. And so what was happened was the owner of Echo Valley out in Lambeth, just outside of Lambeth, and the owner of Forest City got together and they purchased and they partnered up to buy Green Hills Country Club. Ever since then, they've wanted to elevate the experience to the members. Forest City went private 4 years ago, so now we have 2 private clubs and 1 public, Echo Valley. So again, they wanted to elevate everything, and at the end of COVID there, when everybody didn't know what was going on with restaurants, they decided to reach out and see if I wanted an opportunity to get into the golf world. And ever since then, I'd still been trying to figure out the game of golf. So it's not, I have all these abilities to go golfing at 3 different golf clubs, but trying to find at least 4 hours in a day in the golf season is extremely difficult for myself. So maybe in the next couple of years, it will loosen up a little bit and I'll be able to do it. But so that's where I'm from, and that's what I've been doing. I've been doing this for over 20 years myself. I was a student of Fanshawe College. I'm a Red Sealed certified chef as well. I brought a couple sous chefs and cooks with me from Green Hills and Forest City. They can probably hear in the back, and as we're speaking, they're doing up your samples, okay? So I'm gonna go through and talk about everything that we brought with us. I gotta get going on the venison, because earlier today, I was kind of like pushing it a little bit, so we're gonna get going. So again, I'm going to talk about the venison really quick, and I've learned to see where the cameras are. Okay, I'm going to go right over here. You guys can see on the screens. Okay, it's a nice large rack. Has anybody had venison before? Okay, awesome. Okay, perfect. So again, a lot of more people are more associated with a rack of lamb as opposed to a rack of venison. Difference between the two, besides the animal, is the fact that a rack of venison is a lot more lean, much more lean than a rack of lamb. Now, I find even the more seasoned home cooks are a little nervous when it comes to cooking any kind of rack of lamb. It's a little bit more exotic. And to be honest with you, a rack of lamb is a little bit harder and more finicky to or meticulous to actually prep and serve than the actual venison. And the venison, what we're doing here is a rack of venison, and what you will be sampling, because again, to be able to do that many racks for everybody, what I've done is I brought in some venison shoulder and I braised it overnight. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna find all of the accompaniments here in that dish, topped with the braised venison for you to sample in the next little while. So just hang in there. So like I said, we're gonna get this going. I've already preheated my, my stove top here, working with an induction stove. So you gotta do what you gotta do. And as soon as that heats up, what I'm looking for is when you put the canola oil in, and again, a lot of chefs will go one way or the other. I like to use flavored oils or avocado oils or olive oils, and for sure, me, myself, my personal preference is to use a vegetable oil. One, there's no flavor associated with it, right? When you start using other oils, olive oils and such, it's gonna change the flavor profile. So I wanna control that flavor profile, and I know what I'm trying to achieve, and that's why I'm using a vegetable oil today. When you put it in the pan, The idea is preheating the pan. I want the oil to move around like water in the pan. You're gonna see a little bit of smoke come off, and that's how I know it's proper to sear. If that thing was just billowing smoke because I overdid it, I'm gonna put it off to the side, because if I put my protein in there, it's gonna start burning, okay? So again, controlling my temp. And as I can see, you can see a little bit of smoke coming off here. So we're almost there. I can feel the temp. All right. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna give it a nice little season. And once I get this going and we're searing, I'm gonna talk about the rest of the ingredients on the dish. Okay. All right. Just kosher salt, a little black cracked pepper on there. All right, pan's ready to go, so we're gonna go right over there. Presentation side, the top of the loin, that's the first part I'm gonna sear, because that's what I'm gonna crust. Okay, I can hear the sizzle. If it doesn't sizzle, you're not sauteing. Okay, if the pan's not hot enough, all it's gonna do is absorb those fats and those oils, especially vegetables and starches. So what we wanna make sure is that the pan is hot and the oil is hot, so we can achieve a sear. And the reason we do a sear, two reasons in this one. One, it's gonna create a new flavor profile. Anybody can just take that, put it in the oven, season it, go, right? Pull it out at proper temperature, works for sure. But if you wanna really elevate it and really kind of show some skill, that's when you're gonna start doing other cooking techniques. And that's why we're doing a pan sear. We're gonna do it hard on both sides. You gotta do it equally. On the presentation side for a few minutes, flip to the back side for a few minutes. It will reduce the cooking time in the oven, okay? So that's what we're trying to achieve here. Now, since we've got that side, we're gonna season up the back side there, so it's nice even seasoning as well. All right, and while that's going, we're gonna walk through the rest of the ingredients. So again, talking about the crust today, we need a binding agent, and that's what our Dijon mustard. Traditional, classic Dijon, no whole grain, just classic. You could use a whole grain if you prefer. I just did a classic Dijon, and once that's seared, we're gonna crust it, and it's gonna go with the herb crust that I've made. The herb crust today is a blend of curly parsley, panko, lemon zest, and salt. Blitzed up really fine for a few minutes in a food processor, and this is what you get. A nice vibrant green. Okay, you can kind of come over to the camera. Sometimes you can see it looks better. And you're gonna notice by all the colors up here, you're gonna find out really quick that beyond flavor is color. I love color in my dishes, and you're gonna see a lot of that here today. Okay, beyond the crust, obviously we need a sauce, and what we've done is we've gone with a nice classic bordelaise, red wine demi, whatever you want to call, and we've done that today. This is a 2-day process in order to do this, starting with roasting veal bones and mirepoix, hitting it with a little bit of tomato paste, and then making a nice veal stock out of that overnight, taking that out, and this is where the word demi comes into play. Demi meaning half. Most of us know that, and what you're doing is now you're reducing the stock by half. And all those fats from the bones that you've roasted, the marrow and everything, is now working as a thickening agent. Then you can also, on the side, take your red wine, usually a dry red wine, a Shiraz usually, and reducing that, a little bit of garlic clove, a little bit of fresh herbs, thyme, rosemary, and a little peppercorns, and a little brown sugar sometimes even, just to cut through the acidity. And you're reducing that, and the sugars in the wine, the sugar in the wine, the brown sugar and the fat in the actual stock is reducing by half yet again, and you get a nice, beautiful, velvety demi-glace. So that's what we're gonna be working with as well.
We were talking about the demi being worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely. You do not want to be the chef that drops that in the kitchen. You won't hear the end of it. So we got a nice sear on the front side here. I think we can kind of start seeing it on some of the cameras. I got a little bit of a view. But we're looking for caramelization, and that's what's happening there, okay? Again, it's changing the flavor profile, and it's also changing the texture of the meat, okay? So 2 things we're doing. Now, like I said, we're equally cooking this for about 3 minutes on each side, and then I'll crust it before it goes in the oven. Next, we're gonna be talking about our risotto, and I think some of the recipe cards on there were for the risotto. I think that's what we did. Now, you'll notice that if I tried to put all of this on a recipe card, it's a short story. So I think they chose the forest mushroom risotto, and that's what we're doing today. So for the forest mushroom risotto, I made the risotto ahead of time to save time here, obviously, but instead of using a classic rice, a basmati, jasmine, long grain, short grain, wild, anything, we use an arboreal rice. And the difference between an arboreal rice is that it does have a creamy texture that comes out of it. It's a misconception to say that a risotto, if you've ever had risotto, it feels creamy. If it's done right, it's creamy. And everybody's like, oh, it has 35% cream or whatever it be. Misconception. What it is actually the heat. So what we do for this is minced shallots and garlic. We'd saute it gently, a little sweat. We don't want to get a lot of color on there, so sweating till it's translucent. You're gonna deglaze with some nice dry white wine and reduce that by half, and then we're gonna add in our washed arborio rice. The heat, and then and then we have chicken stock on the side. We add the chicken stock to the rice, and that's obviously just like cooking any other rice, you need a liquid. And that's what that's doing. It's adding flavor and letting the rice grains blossom. And there's like a creamy residue that comes out and leaches out of the arborio rice. And that's what actually makes the risotto creamy. It has nothing to do with cream. All right, let's see here.
So I just want to say, you're going to see Chef Brandon's sous chefs on stage.
Absolutely. So tonight we brought Anu Jay. He's a new sous chef this season. Everybody give him a little hi there, a little say, Anu Jay. He started with us this season at Forest City, been working with me at Green Hills for the past off season. We're happy to have him, and thanks for coming out tonight, Anu Jay. Thank you. Okay, so we got a good sear here. Now, like I said, I was gonna crust it. I'm actually gonna give this in the oven for about 4 or 5 minutes and then crust it. Because of the size of the protein, if I put the crust on right now this second, sure, it'll be fine, but it won't have the color that I'm looking for. I want it to bake a little less and let the meat cook first. So we're gonna come in here. I preheat my oven there to about 425 convection bake, and that'll do the trick there. Back to the risotto. So for the risotto, we've talked about the arborio rice. We've got some sauteed mushroom medley, shiitake, oyster, cremini mushrooms, okay? Those are readily available anywhere. We're gonna be sauteing those in the pan. And then I have my stock we're gonna add to retherm the risotto so it gets hot. If I put the risotto just in a hot pan, it's gonna burn. So you gotta add a liquid to retherm it, right? To get it back up to temperature. All right, in go the mushrooms. All right, a little bit of a stir. I did roast these a little bit before for the demo, so I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of salt. I don't add pepper to my risotto. It doesn't make for a clean looking risotto. If the guest wants to put it on after, so be it. Okay, we're at that stage now. We're gonna start adding the arborio rice after the stock. Deglazing with a little chicken stock. You can use veg stock, beef stock. You can use water, depending on allergies or dietary, whatever you choose. Okay? And that's gonna reduce, and it's gonna also reheat my risotto. All right.
So one of the things I just want to talk about, Chef,
Yeah.
the thing that makes Taste X different is we're sort of elevating everything. We're also pairing a wine.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yes. With
my favorite
each
part.
Exactly.
All right. So, just when I came up with the dish and when I presented it to be confirmed for the Food and Wine Show, they always like us to pair it, like Carol had mentioned. Tonight's dish, I've paired with one of my favorite wines, is a classic Cab Sauv. We have any Cab Sauv fans? All right. It's right in the middle. It's either, if you don't like red wine, this is probably a good place to start. But a nice Cab Sauv here, and we got Niagara Peninsula. What vintage? We got 2021, so I got a couple of years on there. And I'll be sampling that with all of you. I think they're going to be bringing out some samples for all of you as well to try
That's right.
it.
With the recipe cards for the
Perfect.
risotto, everyone can take home that recipe.
There we go. Oh, here come the wines. You know what? Here we go.
Yeah, enjoy that.
We'll do a little toast.
It's Saturday night, so hang on to your wine. We'll let Chef do a toast. Do you want a Sue on stage to mix that risotto?
Absolutely. Do we have a new Jay? He might be hearing me. I don't know if he is.
I think so.
Oh, here he comes. I see him coming through the curtains. All right.
Awesome. So one of the things about Taste X, in terms of elevating everything, I think is going to get
We're
you
going to do a cheers.
There you go.
All right. So everybody can hold up a glass?
Just about.
All right. Here's the safe rides home and experience tonight at Taste X. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. And we'll bring those recipe cards out. On the back of the recipe card is a little bit about our taste series.
Yep.
So follow us on socials to learn more about that.
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
chef.
Okay, back to the risotto. So, again, I say this every time. I know I actually have some cooks that have worked for me in the past out in the audience, so they're going to remember this very well. And the guys in the back listening to this will be smiling and laughing. I have a trinity, which I like to bring, and I do it every restaurant that I've ever worked or ever run, and that would be my fresh herbs. And, you know, I know the guys are smiling in the back because I always make them. They do probably a liter of these a day. And what it is 50% curly parsley or flat leaf Italian parsley, whatever you choose, 25% thyme and 25% rosemary. Fine chopped and mixed together once they're dried. If you chop up fresh parsley, you're going to find that obviously there's a lot of chlorophyll and moisture that comes out of the fresh herbs. And not as much the thyme and rosemary, obviously. But you got to let that parsley dry out a little bit before you mix it, or else the mixture will get wet and it won't last very long. You do this properly, it's at least a week in your fridge. You can add it into marinades, you can add it into pastas, into sauces, finishing risottos. Honestly, it goes with a lot of everything. So I'm going to be adding that into my risotto. You get a little bit there. And then we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, purees. So I have a beetroot puree, okay? I love color like we talked about here, and this is a great example of that. This is peeled raw beets, boiled, okay, till they're nice and soft. You can put a toothpick right through them. Then what I do is I take some chopped Spanish onions, white onions, a little bit of chopped garlic, and my beets, and I gently saute them in a pot. And then I pour 35% cream over top, just enough, just to barely cover the beets. And then what I do is I create a cartouche. Now a cartouche basically in culinary is talking about a piece of parchment that is folded and cut round, that has a little bit of a vent in the center. Just enough to cover the entire pot. You're gonna put it on the surface of the cream, and what that's doing with the heat is it's bringing all those flavors together and creaming them up and softening them together. Well, it's not evaporating the cream, it's staying underneath the cartouche. There's the reason for the cartouche. So it doesn't evaporate and burn and thicken up too much.
So it's sort of a fancy word for lid.
Absolutely, yes. Then what we do is we take it off the heat once it's all soft, put it in a Vitamix. I like to use that better than a food processor for some things because it emulsifies. You get a really, really smooth texture, and that's what this is here. And then when I blitz it, I finish it off with a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of salt. That is it. Let the ingredients speak for themselves. Why do I add lemon juice to certain things? Because what it does is I like to say it brightens the dish up, okay? It really kind of brings the initial flavors of the beet and everything to the forefront, but also adds a little bit of acidity, which balances it out beautifully, okay? So you'll be able to see some of that in the risotto right now. Okay. Get some of that right in there. All right. Once I get this ready to go, I'm going to put it off to the side. And then I'm going to check my venison in the oven there and see where we're at. Now, what we're trying to achieve with the venison is a medium rare. And most people will say, you know, one way or the other, you know, whatever doneness you like. If I were to tell you exactly what the best temperature for a venison would be, it would be medium rare. And the reason is because it is a gamey meat. And it's very lean. It doesn't have a lot of fat to it, so you do not want to overcook it. You get to that medium mark, and we start to dry it out, okay? And then it's a little chewy, it's a little stringy, whatever it be. So again, medium rare is beautiful. Now, the one that you will be tasting is braised overnight. It's melt in your mouth. I braised it in a marinade for, I think, 10 to 12 hours overnight last night. Picked it up this morning, brought it here, and that's what you'll be sampling today. Okay, so I'm gonna, before we go to the plate in a bit, I'm gonna retherm this again with a little bit more chicken stock just to loosen it up. A risotto should never be thick. I shouldn't be able to make a snowball out of it. It has to be a little bit loose. So we're gonna do that when we go to the plate in a bit. All right, so we're gonna talk about the venison. Back here again. Smells fantastic. All right, so you can see the color that I'm achieving on the sear, both sides evenly, okay? And what I'm gonna do is, if I run the biotherm all the way through this way to temp it in the center, When I cut that in half for presentation, you will see the hole all the way through. I've learned the hard way, okay? So what you want to do is you want to temp down, but making sure that the front tip, the thinnest part, that's what's taking the temperature, not the whole thing, just the tip. So you want to make sure that that's not going all the way through and you're getting a proper temperature right in the center. Okay? I learned from this afternoon, we are ahead of the game. We're sitting at 110 already. So I will be putting the crust on. And again, I spoke about this, the crust, a little bit of Dijon. Okay. I get the sides here. I'm just gonna do the presentation side. Some people like to do the whole rack on the bottom, the back side, whatever. I don't feel the need because you don't see it and it gets soggy underneath if you put it underneath. All right. Perfect. We've got our herb crust that we spoke about earlier. I'm gonna put that on there. So as you can see, so far we're working with multiple different colors and flavors going on here today. Besides the vibrant green breadcrumbs that we're putting on, we have a beautiful beet puree, and then the next puree I'm going to talk about. Yes, Chef bought 2 purees today. I get crazy sometimes. Okay, so nicely crusted, ready to go. We'll kind of get a little close up here if we can. There we go. All right, back into the oven. I am going to turn it down to 400. I think that that's better suited for where it's at right now. All right, okay. Next, we're going to be talking about the vegetables that I chose for today, okay? So this is, again, I chose 3 different ones here. We've got a nice broccolini that I've blanched ahead of time, okay? So the proper way to blanch also, is my baby top carrots as well. Okay, they're beautiful. You'll notice vibrant green, vibrant orange, and again, a red bell pepper. Can't go wrong. Nice vibrant red. What I've done to blanch these is, again, most people, put everything on the stove, boil the crap out of it until you know it's done. That's typical. That's pretty typical. And there's nothing wrong with that, for sure. But what you're doing is you're boiling out all the nutrients, right? All of that's getting in the water, and basically you're just eating a shell. There's nothing to it, okay? So what I've done, boiling water, dropping the broccolini into the boiling water, 35, 45 seconds. That's all it takes, okay? Then what you do is you're gonna take it out immediately into an ice bath, okay? Ice water, lots of ice in there, and submerge it. 2 reasons we do that. 1, it shocks it. That's what's called shocking the vegetables, and it immediately stops the cooking process, okay? In cooking, there's something called carryover cooking, and that basically means if you've made something hot, you've cooked it in the oven, in a pan, whatever, even when you take it out of the oven or out of the pan, it's still cooking. Kind of picture like a burn that you get, okay? You burn yourself, but you put ice on it. Why is it still burning? Because it's continuing to burn through small layers of your skin, right? And that's what's happening in carryover cooking. We haven't stopped the cooking process, and we'll talk about that when it gets to the meat and we talk about resting our proteins, okay? So again, I shock these. The second thing it does, brings out the vibrant color in the vegetable, okay? So that's why these are so vibrant. The more you boil them, the obviously less vibrant they get, and you're gonna lose a lot of your buds on top here, okay? Same with the carrots and the peppers. So let's get a pan back on the stove, on the nice hot pan. A little bit of vegetable oil, okay?
And you are known for your colors, Chef.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Every time
every time we come here, I'm like, I'm going to bring a whole new color.
Yeah.
Right? We'll just add it to, maybe I'll bring a 3rd puree next season. Who knows? Who knows?
And we love it. It's so good.
Absolutely.
We got a little peek in our backstage camera, our kitchen cam.
You can see the guys hard at work back there plating up. There's 8 ingredients to this, so it takes a little small army back there to pick up 1 ingredient and do it like a conveyor belt almost. That's why I bring a couple extra guys with me. Now, when we start talking about sauteing our vegetables, again, anybody can take all the vegetables, throw them in a hot pan, call it a day when they're seared and they look good. But if all the vegetables are different densities, they're gonna cook differently. Some are gonna be finished before the others are even close. So starting with your densest vegetable and moving to your less dense vegetable is the way that we're gonna saute. We're gonna finish with some nice cold butter, and we're gonna mount that, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, oil's moving around like water. We know that's the key. We hear that sizzle, and we're good. I'm gonna get a little bit of a sear on the carrot before I season it. If I season my vegetables too early, what salt does, besides adding flavor, all right, and enhancing it, what it does is it brings out the moisture, okay? And if I bring out the moisture before it has a sear and traps it all in there, I'm not gonna get a good sear on the other vegetables. The water from the vegetables is gonna mix with the oil. It's not gonna be a pretty picture. Again, is it edible? For sure. But in the restaurant world, we're trying to achieve different flavor profiles and different appearances. All right, so we got a little bit of a sear. I can see working up on here. Just gonna hit it with a tiny pinch of salt, and we're gonna go in. Bell pepper, next densest vegetable. Presentation side, skin side, obviously, is what I want to achieve the color on, but we're gonna cook it evenly. And we're gonna finish with the broccolini as well. Okay. Risotto's on the back there. What we're gonna do in the meantime is we are gonna put our demi-glaze on gently. I think I got a nice stove down here. There we go. Our nice demi-glaze. Again, you do not want to be the chef that over-reduces this in the pan. Drops it, whatever it be. I've seen it. I haven't done it, knock on wood, myself. But when something takes 48 hours minimum to make, you don't want to be that guy to explain to the chef that you dropped the 48-hour recipe. All right, so great color on the carrots here. On the pepper as well, we're going in with the broccolini. Couple pieces on here. Okay, season that up, boom, done. Now, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna heat up the broccolini a little bit to get to the same cooking temp, and then we're gonna hit it with a little knob of cold butter. Okay, that's good to go. And the butter, again, adding flavor, but also adding, it's for optics. It's gonna make that shine on the plate, okay? Hitting it right now, let that come together. Pulling it off the heat. There you go, melting that butter nicely in there, gently. We can already see the demi starting to come to a little bit of a boil. We're just gonna adjust the heat there. All right. I am gonna go check the venison again because it was closer than it was before this afternoon. Okay, the veg is good, and the demi is also good. Put that off.
While you do that, Chef, I just want to thank a couple of our sponsors.
Oh, please do.
So the Culinary Stage is sponsored by McCormick, and our brand new beautiful kitchen and countertops by Sloan Stone Design, and we're loving the new kitchen. So
absolutely. Every year I come back, you add to it, you make it a little bit better.
Yep, thanks to our great sponsors.
Absolutely. All right, so venison's done. Let's talk about how we cooked it, what we cooked it to, and the resting. Let's get rid of this guy. Bring our risotto back, because we're going to be plating shortly. Okay. So, resting our proteins, very important. What it does is it's going to allow all the juices inside to settle, okay? If I cut that right away, you're going to see all the juices just come right out of there. Then we have a dry meat, right? After all this time of prepping and preparing and executing, I might as well wait a couple minutes to make sure that this is perfect, okay? I pulled this out at 127 degrees Fahrenheit. So now what we're trying to achieve is a perfect medium rare. That's going to be anywhere between 130 and 135. Why did I pull it out at 126? Because we're talking about resting. And when we rest something, we go back to our first lesson of carryover cooking. This meat is still cooking, okay? While it's resting, all the juices are going into the center, working with each other, but they're also going up in temperature. And if you rest something for an appropriate amount of time, it's gonna go up 3 to 5 degrees. So now we've pulled it out early. We're gonna achieve something that's about 131, 132 degrees, perfect medium rare. So I've done a little bit better than the earlier one today. I'm really happy with that. And so we're gonna go back to our last thing, and we're gonna do our puree. Sweet potato puree done exactly the same as the beet puree, just using sweet potatoes, okay? So get a spoon here. And actually what I'm gonna do it properly. I've got 35% cream. Now, if I throw the puree right into a hot pan, what's gonna happen? It's gonna stick, it's gonna burn, it's gonna change the flavor, scrap it, start over. So you put a tiny bit, just like I did the chicken stock for the risotto, I'm gonna do the same thing with the puree. Heat up the cream, add the puree, bring it all together, check for seasoning, done. Okay? We're starting to boil already. It's the magic of preheating right there. All right. A good amount in there. Again, a beautiful orange, pastel orange color to add to the dish. Let's bring it all together here. Normally I'd use a rubber spatula for this with a Teflon pan, but you know, you got to use what you got to use sometimes. All right. Because I've added cream to a puree that I've already seasoned and everything, it's ready to go. But because I've added a bland flavored cream, I'm gonna check for seasoning one more time. Again, no pepper, just salt. Okay? Needs a little bit of salt, see? There we go. Again, very easy to come up to temp. Gentle, 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 pulling it off the heat. And there we are. We're gonna let that rest right there as well. Back to the risotto while our meat's resting. And I said I was gonna retherm this with a little bit of chicken stock, just like we did in the beginning. Our seasoning's good. We just need to loosen it up just a little bit.
So one of the interesting things, Chef, that we had talked about is everyone is doing something in the brigade. Yeah, I'm behind you for those who are looking for the voice.
Absolutely, and I love talking about this point is I think what everybody has to realize is if you look at what I'm doing right now, this is one dish in a restaurant, one. So this is a guy coming in, ordering this, and here we go. Imagine if it's a table of 4, table of 6, table of 12, table of 20, and they're all ordering different dishes. How does it all orchestrate to come to the pan? And that's a great question. And how it is every station, whether it's grill, saute, garde-manger, fryers, pizza salad, whatever the station be, everybody knows their responsibility for every dish that is ordered in the restaurant. So a bill comes in, 2 venison, 2 tenderloins, and a steak. Okay, perfect. Everybody that hears that on the line, if it has something to do with their station, whether it's the vegetables, the sauces, the proteins, the starches, whatever it be, they know exactly what they need to do at that time. The chef leading the line, or the gentleman leading the line, or persons, they will be orchestrating it all and calling to either side to make sure that every ingredient is hot and ready to go onto the plate at the exact same time. That's the key. Orchestrating it all from different sections to bring it to the middle onto the plate for you, okay?
And we are absolutely in awe of that because we're enjoying ourselves in your dining room.
It's very easy to, a lot of people realize it, right? What it takes sometimes. And that's why I like to kind of put it out there a little bit, and then you kind of get a little bit of respect for what it takes to put food on the plate at a nice restaurant.
And what a great team you built.
Absolutely. It's all about team. It's not all about me. I can't do what I do without a great team behind me. And at Forest City and Green Hills, we have a fantastic team, which we grow every season, and we're continuously hiring every season. So if you know anybody looking, feel free to come in and drop off a resume. I always like meeting new faces and new talent. Okay. I think we're there. I think we are where we need to be. Let's put the sauce on gently while we're going to the plate. Okay, I'll actually put this here. We're gonna go with the risotto first. Onto our nice plate over here. Now, I always have this thing that I always teach everybody, all my cooks, is that just because I made all this much risotto, doesn't mean I'm gonna put it all on the plate. One thing I say about starch on a plate when it comes to restaurant food, if you have too little on a plate, you're cheap. If you have too much on a plate, you're cheap because it's a filler, right? It's the most heartiest part of the meal, and especially in a risotto, if I were to chalk this up and it'd be 50% risotto with a little bit of, it's too much, okay? So, there we go. I'd say that right there is just enough. All right. Next, we're gonna go in with our vegetables that we've done. Again, presenting them, taking the time to put them down gently. Now, I like to let all my ingredients show at final product, mainly because I've taken so much time and effort in order to get those all done equally, or individually, sorry, is that I want people to see everything that I've done and everything, all the effort that I put into it. All right, this is also done. I'm gonna pull that off. Now we're gonna go for our puree. We're just gonna do a simple pull. Okay. A little bit off center here, away from the rim. Treating it like a portrait where you're gonna keep your frame. Okay, in, pull across. Okay.
Well, that's worth a bit of applause. I don't know if
I get an applause for a pull. Hey,
that off.
All right, okay.
Way to go,
all
Chef.
Right, there we go.
That is looking gorgeous.
All right, next, last thing, we're gonna put our piece de resistance onto the plate there. Again, what you're gonna see is you're gonna be cutting it in between the middle bones. You could do these as chops. You can go in between each bone, fan them out. My style is what's old is now new. So presentation, I take old school dishes and make them new again using the same ingredients. So we're gonna present this like a classic rack. Right down the center. Opening that up. And let's see, we're gonna bring it over to the camera because you guys need to appreciate the cook that we have on here. We have that on the camera.
Gorgeous.
I don't know if the color.
Absolutely
beautiful.
beautiful.
Medium rare, 132 degrees, perfectly. Thank you.
We're going to start bringing out some samples.
Yes, we are. I think we're almost at that point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offset this, get the rack in there. Lean it back. There we go. Now we're going to finish our last thing, our demi. Nice and loose. I'm not going to pour it over the meat. I want people to see that presentation of the cook on the venison. So I'm just going to pour it just sitting in the middle, in the front here. There we go. There we are. Okay. Lastly, I got a little sorrel here. It's a nice little garnish. I like to say it's a nice microgreen, looks beautiful. It also has the flavor, if you eat it raw, it has a little bit of a flavor of like an unripened strawberry. Okay, I'm just gonna place that right on the bones there. And here we are. We have our Dijon and herb crusted rack of venison with a wild forest mushroom beetroot risotto, seasonal vegetables, sweet potato puree, and a classic Bordelaise demi-glaze. How is everybody enjoying it so far? First couple of bites? All right, okay. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I know while samples are coming out, I know everybody's kind of quiet while they're eating, but does anybody have any questions? It can be about the dish, it can be about the clubs, about cooking in general. Sometimes it takes a little bit. It's all good. It's all good. If anybody comes up with anything, feel free to ask, but that's where we're at for tonight.
Okay,
so I hope
we've
you
got
all...
a question.
Oh.
Or you just want some food?
Yo, like, I heard you're like the best chef in London.
Oh,
How's that?
jeez, Eric. This is what happens when you know people. This is what they do. They come. I really appreciate that, Eric. You know, honestly, like I said before, you know, like I've been doing this for many years. I trained under a lot of great chefs that I had the privilege of working under. And then again, being able to build my own teams and bring people in from all walks of life and train them to be great chefs and cooks. It's something that I'm very passionate about. And I do feel that any good chef has a great team behind him. So again, I appreciate the compliment, though. I'll take it.
We have another question.
Okay.
How did you learn to be such an amazing executive chef? I mean, is it in the genes, family?
Funny enough, growing up, it was pretty much a standard household in the 80s and 90s. You know, my parents owned a couple businesses growing up, so they were out working quite a bit. And there'd be times where I had to figure it out on my own, you know, whether it was cooking, bringing stuff together. I started cooking for myself. I started cooking for friends on the side. And it just was really just kind of like a little bit of a small hobby of mine, really. I actually was going to go through and be a history teacher, believe it or not. That was my goal, you know, and going through school. And then I got to a point where I wasn't feeling it. And it was funny because I loved teaching. And I love doing a lot. That actually led me to later on instruct at Fanshawe College for about 4 or 5 years in the culinary department as well. So I was able to take my hobby and teaching and mix them together, and here we are. And today I even find myself teaching just as much as I'm cooking or coming up with menus or anything. So again, I got the best of both worlds. And like I said, being able to come up in this industry, learning under some great chefs, learning the do's and don'ts. Sometimes you learn from some of the bad ones, what you don't want to do, as much as you learn from the good ones of things that you do want to do. You bring all those experiences together, and we have a really successful program at the golf clubs. And like I said, I've been very fortunate to work at some very great places with some really great cooks and chefs. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Okay, we know there's lots of fanfare.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
Okay, we got this side set. We got some over here. Are we good over here? We're tasting good? You like the shoulder on there? A little bit of melt in your mouth, yeah? Awesome. Perfect, perfect.
We've got standing room only enjoying it back here.
Sorry?
Standing room only.
Oh, perfect, yeah.
Enjoying
I brought
it
every
back
year
here.
I bring a little extra because I know. I go, first year I bought 40, not enough. Second year I bought 50, not enough. We bumped it up to 70, and I think we just made the mark this year. So
we hit
every
that-
year we do a little bit more.
Yep, the magic.
Absolutely. So again, I really appreciate it. And like I said before, thanks for coming out to the Taste X in London, Ontario. And what I'd like to say is, again, go out there, meet new people, try new things, get out of your comfort zone, which is some of what you're doing right now is by even just trying venison if you haven't tried it before. So again, this is the beginning of your evening. So I want you guys to go out there, enjoy your time, drive safe tonight, have a great time, and have a great experience. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.